And that's been very successful and needed in various health departments and state departments that relate to health. So,
Are you thinking of public health leadership?
yes, the leadership.
Didn't that begin under Michelle Ibrahim, actually?
I don't think it did, actually. I think it was started by,
I thought that was Michelle, because I thought it arose out of that National Institute of Medicine report on public health.
I may be wrong, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
Michelle had been promoting that, and not just promoting it.
It
but instituting
fostered
it.
under Dr. Roper,
Mhm.
because he wanted to have more opportunities for people, say in medicine, for example, to come over here and get more advanced degrees. And so we also had developed at that time a program for medical students to get a special master's program over here, which is really
Mhm.
very medically oriented and epidemiologically oriented, so that they could get a good background in the general area of public health. And that was, I think, a really important addition to our school. So that's been good for medical people as well. And so the two schools have combined to some extent in that regard, because the faculty member who ran that course, or does run the course now, is also a faculty member of medicine.
Who is that?
Trying to remember his name.
Okay.
He's really stooped way over now. He's retired. So we must
Russell
have-
Harris?
Pardon?
Russell Harris?
Russell Harris, yeah. He was in charge of us for many years.
Right. Yeah, but
And
he's-
outstanding.
Mhm.
Trained in epidemiology and in medicine, of course, and especially in cancer. But, it brought together a lot of good things. So I like that, and I like that linkages that we have with pharmacy and the school of pharmacy and with other health schools, dentistry and so on, because public health really encompasses everything. Or if you say medicine encompasses everything, well, that may be true also, in the United States anyway.
But we're in public health, so we
We're
know
in
that
public
public health
health.
is what encompasses everything.
Well, you need to have an appreciation for what's going on in the community as well as in the individuals.
But I was going to ask you, so we skipped over it. So how did you hear about public health?
Well, I heard about it when I was in graduate school, because I knew that a few universities had graduate schools in public health. But I didn't know too much about what they did, except I had heard about the 1917 epidemic of flu, the so-called Spanish flu. And my father-in-law had Dr. Rosenau as his instructor at Harvard Medical School
Oh my goodness.
before he retired and came down here to Chapel Hill to become our first dean of the School of Public Health.
Oh my goodness.
So that was a big thing, and I didn't know much at all about virology or bacteriology. I had taken a course in bacteriology in graduate school at Cornell, so I was trying to get into learning about other areas of knowledge and interest.
So you mentioned your father-in-law. How did you get a father-in-law?
Well, I married his daughter.
And when did that happen? So when did that happen along this trajectory?
I was married in 1957.
So that was after...
Over 60 years ago.
That was after college, or... Well, yeah, that would have been...
Yeah, and
Where were you in your educational trajectory?
I was at the Harvard Graduate School of Education.
Oh, it was during your time
Uh-huh.
at Harvard?
Yeah, and so,
Where did you meet her?
well, I met her as a camp counselor one summer when I was a camp counselor in the state of Maine on a
Oh.
lake where her family had a cottage.
Oh, you're kidding.
That's right.
What lake was this?
Well, it's Lake Webb. It's a small lake,
Uh-huh.
actually. It's not that big. 7 miles long, I think, and like a mile wide or a mile and a half wide at the largest space. It's in the mountains of western Maine. A beautiful place. And
So you were a camp counselor.
I was a
And you
counselor.
met somebody who was
Yeah.
actually in the community.
Yes, that's right. She was a local, but not from that town. She lived nearby.
Ah.
And her father was a physician in a hospital nearby and a surgeon. And so they had this wonderful summer place, and they went up there every summer. He stayed for a whole month, usually of August, when he took that off from his regular work. But they could live up there, off and on before August, which they did. So I was fortunate to meet my bride-to-be.
Do you want to say her name on the recording?
Yes, her name is Betsy. She's Elizabeth Elsmore, her maiden name. And her father was a graduate of Colby College and Harvard Medical School, 1934. And Dr. Rosenau was in the end of his career there at Harvard. He had to, I think, retire at age 70, or by age 70 at that time. And then he came down here to be our dean of the School of Public Health, our first dean. It was quite an impressive man. And his relief, Bob's relief, is outside the front door of our school. And when I brought my father-in-law in here once, he saw Dr. Rosenau's Bob's relief and recognized him right away, of course, and said that he was a wonderful professor of microbiology and preventive medicine, really, at Harvard.
Yeah, he wrote a classic textbook that was...
Maxie Rosen. Yeah, it was. Very good. Maxie Rosenau has gone through, I don't know how many editions, probably 10 to 20 editions over the years. Yeah, I never met him, though, so I don't know him at all.
Rosenau.
Yes, Rosenau.
And Dr. Elsmore, I guess, is not still alive now?
He's not, no. He worked for 42 years in the same community.
Wow.
And he was a fellow of the American College of Surgeons. He could not get into a residency program during World War II because almost all of them were closed. And he applied to Mayo Clinic, and they said wait till after war. And by that time, he'd already written up cases and was grandfathered into the American College of Surgeons as a fellow. So he did very, very good work. He was a wonderful physician, highly respected in that community.
And how about your mother-in-law?
My mother-in-law was a very smart woman. She got a master's degree. Could have gotten a PhD at Harvard. Radcliffe it was called when she went there, but it was all Harvard faculty and so on. She was in English literature, which she loved, and she ended up teaching in the public schools while he was still in medical school. So she was a very talented woman.
And where did he practice in Maine? What town?
The town is Dixfield, Maine.
Dixfield?
Dixfield, Dixfield, named for Dr. Dix, who was a physician, I think during maybe the Civil War. And our Dix Hospital that used to be in Raleigh
Dorothy and Dix
was named for his daughter.
Oh, he was the father of Dorothy and Dix?
I believe that's correct.
Oh my goodness.
And he came from Watertown, Massachusetts. They're a part of Boston suburb.
Wow, yeah, well, I know Watertown.
Yeah.
So you heard about public health when you were at Cornell.
Yeah.
And then you got this opportunity to go and be a visiting faculty member in our medical school here, right? When you
Yes, that's correct.
from Illinois.
Yes.
And did you then connect immediately with the School of Public Health, or?
No, I didn't. But I was introduced to a man named Howard Schneider, who was here, and he was a director of the Institute of Nutrition, which was a general administration institute. It was located on the campus in one of the houses on
Pittsburgh Street, right?
Pittsburgh Street, and he operated there, and he was interested in what was going on all over the campus, and especially nutritional issues, and also the other campuses of the university, the old consolidated universities. He met me, and he asked me if I might be interested in a position in nutrition that was available. He knew that Dr. Adjoining was recruiting faculty, and so he asked me if I might be interested, and I said yes, I might be. So I did. I went over and met him. And
met
Dr. Adjoining. Well, I first had talked with Dr. Schneider, and in his office, actually. He invited me to do that. And then I met Dr. Adjoining, and at that time, he asked me if I might give a few guest lectures in the nutrition program in 1972 in the spring. And I did. And he offered me a position.
Mhm.
And so I thought that was great. We really, really liked Chapel Hill. Physically, it's a lovely community. So we were happy to actually take this position.
Now, you live over in Glen Lennox.
We live in Glen Lennox in the old section on Rogerson Drive.
And is that where you moved when you first came here?
No,
Oh.
no, we rented a duplex, half of a duplex home in Carrboro.
Oh, where in Carrboro?
Right near where the new high school is. On the, up the hill, beyond the Gray Culbus Junior High School and beyond, in between the new high school and Gray Culbus Middle School.
I guess I don't know where the new high school
Carrboro High
is.
School.
I guess I don't know where the new high school
Uh-huh.
is. I left Carrboro many years ago.
Yeah.
I've
So
been back, but I haven't seen
it's
it.
on the southern side.
The southern, okay.
Yeah, and you go up the hill from the bypass,
Mm-hmm.
and it's up on the right, and we lived on the left, just right near it. School wasn't there when we were
Right.
there. We were only there 1 year.
And then then you moved to,
Then we moved to Rogerson Drive.
and you've been there for?
Since 1972,
Wow,
the whole time.
wow.
And we've added on an addition. Our son built it actually for us, our oldest son.
Really?
Mm-hmm. When he was probably in his 20s, mid-20s, and we're very happy with that addition. It gives us more space. It's all on one floor, so we don't have to go up and down floors. It's very, very nice for older folks.
Well, you know, I walked by your house this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was early for the bus, so
Uh-huh.
rather than wait down at the mall, I walked up to Glen Lennox, and I
Oh,
walked
my
around
God.
the corner, so I was sorry I didn't see you, but you were probably here.
I may have been, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
got
pretty
here-
sure it was
I got here
afternoon
about
already.
9 o'clock.
Yeah, it was afternoon by the time I got
Okay.
there, but, so I'll have to try to do that more often, maybe I can get out earlier,
Yeah, well,
catch you and ride
it's
it
a
on
lovely
TV.
old street.
Mm-hmm.
Houses just on one side, and the Chapel Hill Country Club is our neighbor across the street. You notice?
I didn't actually, I don't think I walked on Rogerson itself, actually.
You may have been on Oakwood.
No, it wasn't on Oakwood. Chapel Hill Country Club. I'll have to show, well, when off the recording, I'll show you the place that I walked. But I walked on the G-Bus route, because I wasn't
Oh,
sure when the
okay.
G-Bus was
Well,
gonna
The
come.
G-Bus is, okay, you were on Hamilton Road.
Oh, okay, that's,
Hamilton.
oh, and that's not where you live? Because that's
No,
where I see you get on,
no,
used to see you get on the
no.
G-Bus.
We live 2 streets over.
Okay, that explains
There's
it.
Oakwood, and then Rogerson.
Rogerson after
Then the
that.
golf course, and
Okay.
then Meadowmont beyond that.
Then I do realize, I do know
Yeah.
where that is.
Yeah, it's a lovely area. It's
Mhm.
very nice walkable, running, jogging. People get out there all the time and are generally friendly. It's
Mhm.
very nice. A lot of dogs.
Friendly dogs.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes, they are.
So you found out about public health because you got recruited to the department.
Yeah.
Now, I asked you before if there was a history of the department, and you said there
I
isn't.
don't think there is.
Do you know any of that history that you want to mention on the recording?
I could mention a little bit, I guess. When I first came, Adosian, who was a physician and a biochemist PhD, was our chair. And it was a small department then. I think there were only 4 or 5 of us in the department. And as I said earlier, there's only one academic program, an MPH. And then within a couple of years, a few more faculty were added, and the department applied for a PhD program, or a DRPH program first, and also a BSPH program. So the BSPH program was being activated in the whole school, and I think initially 5 departments added a BSPH degree. We added 1, and then we also had the DRPH program. They were all approved, and we started admitting graduate students about 1975, doctoral students who were doing research. And dissertations were starting to be awarded probably in 1977 or some time like that, and then afterward. And then, of course, the department eventually got a PhD program, and that was not until, I think, about the 1990s, maybe 93, sometime like that. So most of the people who get doctors now are getting the PhD program. Hardly anybody gets the DRPH.
Mm-hmm.
There's certainly nothing wrong with the DRPH degree, but it doesn't seem to be so important in the marketplace as PhD.
Not as in vogue now as
No, it's not.
as one time.
But in any event, our program had a lot of faculty, and we have now 3 divisions. That started in the early 1990s. A division of biochemistry, a division of public health related areas, and a 3rd division of epidemiology. So we have 3 divisions, and the epidemiology division has become outstanding, probably one of the best in the country in that area, maybe in the world. We have a lot of really strong faculty in that area. We have good faculty in all the other divisions, but they aren't quite as outstanding as the epidemiology division, nutritional epidemiology.
Mm-hmm.
As separate from the Department of Epidemiology, but they basically do similar things.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the
Well, we worked
focus.
together a lot.
Yes,
So I remember you stole one of our professors, June Stevens.
yes, yes. We stole June Stevens, who became a chair also, recently, and a wonderful colleague, actually, really. We have a lot of wonderful colleagues in our department. It's a very congenial department overall, but people work hard. You don't see them very often, except maybe at special occasions or something of that nature.
So are there any particular projects that you worked on or people that you worked with that you want to mention from the 70s or even into the 80s?
Well, in the 70s, I continued to work with a man from orthopedic surgery who invited me here in 1971.
And who was that?
His name is Roy Talmadge.
Talmadge?
Roy V. Talmadge, yes. He was a PhD from Harvard, who did his work in mineralized tissue. And he was a wonderful man, done a lot. He was really a talented man. And he came here from Rice University, where he'd been a professor for a long time. He came here late in his career, actually. And I got to know him and work with him for a period of about 10 years. Yeah, I was very fortunate. But I also did work with other people. I did a lot of collaborative work with different people. For a period of time, I was part of the Lipids Research Clinic studies, LRC, here that was run by Biostatistics, and did some work there and collaborated with others in a number of different kinds of studies over the years. Worked with other people in orthopedics, other people in School of Public Health, other people at other universities.
Mm-hmm. So the Minority Student Caucus was formed
Yeah.
at the end of the 70s, in the very beginning of the 70s.
Yeah.
And I was just asking if you have any.
Yeah, it was set up by Bernie Greenberg at the request, I think, of faculty members.
Wait a minute, the Minority Student Caucus.
Oh, no, I don't know so much about the Minority Student Caucus. I just know about the Minority Affairs Committee, I guess it was called.
And actually, I don't know about that. So in 1971, I think it was the end of the end
Minority
of 71,
Health.
Minority Student Caucus got together, and they had a negotiation with the dean, who was not Bernie Greenberg, but it was William Mays, and he created a committee, a faculty committee, and they discussed the requests from the students, and then they hired Bill Small as assistant, to be a minority recruiter, and Bill
Yeah.
Small came, and then over the years, they met as a caucus and decided to have a minority health conference.
Mhm.
And the first one was in March of 1977. And somehow I got the idea that you had had some involvement
Well,
in that.
there
And
was a minority health committee of the faculty.
That I
for
wasn't
several
aware of.
years. Yes.
Could you tell me about that?
Well, I'm trying to think back about it, Vic. It was consisted of only a few faculty members, and every year we'd get a list of people who were on the different committees from the dean's office.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on, I believe, the first committee. I think John Hatch was the chair of that committee, I think, that year, or maybe all the years. And Bernie Greenberg was one who was very supportive of it. And there were, I think, 3 or 4 of us on that committee. Not very many faculty, and I know that the Minority Health Conference actually rose from that committee. It was supported by that committee because we were involved with it early on. I don't know who actually initiated it, so I can't say that the Minority Health Committee did, but the Minority Health Committee was instrumental, I think, in getting support from the dean to put that on. And it was
that's
beyond,
fascinating.
It was beyond Dean Mays. It was after Dean Mays.
Yeah, it would have been. It was Bernie Greenberg.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember who else was on it. I can remember working with John Hatch. He was such a wonderful man. Superb person from health education at that time. Now health behavior.
Right. Yeah. So in maternal and child health.
Sherman James may have also been on that committee.
Mm-hmm. From epidemiology.
Yes, you might ask him.
Well, I will. You know, I interviewed John Hatch, and I've spoken with Sherman, and no one's mentioned this to me before. I'm really interested to hear about it because
There are probably some old list of committees back in those times, because every year we get a new list of committees,
Right,
who the members were and so on.
I'll have to look. I've been to the archives in the North Carolina collection. I've seen some of those things from the dean's office, but I haven't seen